Alright, story time. We're about to get into some shit. Alright, excuse the hair. I'm trying to grow it so we can get these wigs put in. But anyway, so let's make a long story long. Basically, so my car goes down. My HellCat got a broken diff. It goes down. So it's mid-race season. My shop, they booked. They ain't really got no space. So one of my partners says to me, he was like, well, shit, I could throw your diff on. That ain't, you got it. We'll fix it. I said, you sure you know how to do it? He was like, yeah. I was like, you sure you could do it in the garage? He was like, yeah. So I was like, all right, bet. So I was like, how much you gonna charge me? He was like, it'd be no more than 300. I was like, oh, bet. Let's run it. So he pull up. He come over in the morning. All right, we jack the car up. And when we start jacking the car up, we can't get the wheels off. So, we had to break the lugs off. See, that was the first omen of, nigga, just wait and take your car to a regular shop. Take your car to where your car's sponsored and where it's supposed to be. But I'm hard-headed. So after we do all that, we break one of my lug nuts like completely out of the housing. Like, so on the left side, it's only 4 lug nuts instead of 5. But I'm not tripping over that too. I'm like, okay, it could be fixed. It could be fixed. So we jack the car up. Instead of like just disconnecting it and dropping the diff, my partner says, oh, well, let's just take your suspension apart. It'll be quicker if we just take the control arms and all that off. I'm like, but if we do all that, ain't I gonna have to get another race alignment? But I was like, you know what? Don't trip. Just let it happen, bro. He know what he doing. So after all that, we get the diff down. My suspension is apart. He's going to put the new diff up, and he drops that bitch. Like, it hits the concrete. Like, he drops it. And the diff fins break off. I'm like, oh shit. I said, is it messed up? He's like, nah, it's fine. Those are just the heat fans, or, whatever term was used. So that is, all this took place in the term of 15 hours. So I'm like, man, I can't sit out here and watch you all day. I'm finna go to sleep. So he goes, does what he has to do. He's like, I'm gonna come back in the morning, we'll finish. That was day 1. So he come back the next day. When he comes back the next day, so mind you, I got people in town. It's the holidays. This is before Thanksgiving, and this is like maybe 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. So my mom, she's like, hey man, is your car okay? He's fucking your car up. And I go, nah, he know what he doing. So hard-headed. So we spend the whole next day, he's still trying to get the fucking diff up there so that he can lock everything in. So when he gets it up there, now the axles are not going in. I said, bruh, the axles aren't going in? He's like, yeah, but I have to take down your control arm some more and bend it like this, and I'm going to force the diff in. I'm going to force the axles in. I'm like, but is that fucking up the axles? He's like, nah, they'll be fine. I'm like, okay, now I'm getting worried. But you know what he's doing. I'm going to leave it alone. I ain't going to trip, because I can stand over people and be a little trippy sometimes. But I'm like, you know what? I ain't going to trip. So, mind you, my car has literally been sitting on jack stands this whole process. This is day 2, and the car still isn't fixed now. So he finally gets the diff up into the housing, but now the axles aren't going in, so he's bending and pushing and like doing all this shit trying to force the axles in, and he finally forces both sides in, puts everything together. So now he can't put the control arm back. Now, mind you, I got an aftermarket suspension. I got an AAD suspension. Now, he's having trouble putting the suspension back together. I'm like, bruh, what the fuck? So he's like, okay, I'm gonna need a little more help. So I'm gonna go get someone, another nigga I know. And he's like, I'm gonna bring him back to help me, and we'll have it knocked out in 2 hours. I promise you. So day 2, car still ain't fixed. Car's getting worse actually. I go, okay, it's cool. You know, I'm acting real passive like I normally am. That was day 2. So now we on day 3. Third day of putting a diff on my HellCat. So he come with the dude that he said he was bringing, right? They're down there another 8 hours, bro. 8 hours. And then he finally texted me because, you know, I was up in the room, being in that cold, it had made me kind of sick. So I was sick. So I couldn't even watch them. They were just down there doing whatever. So he texted me. He's like, yo, come on out. We're finished. I'm like, okay. He was like, I didn't fix the bolt. So you still got to get a bolt put in on your driver's side, you know, for your wheel. I'm like, so what was y'all out here doing for the 8 hours? He was like, we was fixing the suspension. Mind y'all, all I wanted was a diff put on. So I'm like, okay, cool. So he says to me, he was like, you know, I know it was long, it was tedious. He was like, you know, instead of me charging you the $300, he was like, just send me what you think is best. I'm like, all right, you know. I said, okay, so look, I said, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna drive the car tomorrow, and I'll sell you. All right, bet. So he leaves. I crank up my car, excited, ready to test drive this new diff. As soon as I put the car in drive, I hear clinking. So I stop, letting it roll forward. My dash lights up like a Christmas tree. ABS, traction control, fucking every light that got to do with traction comes on. It lights up. I'm like, man, this car is a death trap now. So I hit dude. I'm like, hey, such and such light comes on. I said, all these lights came on and it's clinking. He goes, oh, well, you probably just need to reset the something sensor because, you know, we were messing with your suspension. I said, bro, I ain't finna reset shit. I don't even know what you just said. I don't even know nothing about fixing on cars, but I know I'm not just finna reset no warning lights that's warning me that it's danger. So I said, nah. I said, I'm finna take my car to the shop, bro. I said, once I see what's going on, then we'll talk. He goes, all right, cool. Now, so mind you, I had to pay $250, of course, to my homeboy. I support all businesses. He came out, he towed my car to my shop that I should have went to in the beginning. When he gets it there, drops it off. So my boy Jimmy, shout out to All Park Garage, he hits me up about 2 days later, and he said, bruh, who the fuck was working on your car? He said, did you do this? I said, nah. I said, I mean, I was around, but I was like, you know, my homeboy, you know, he put the diff on. He said, bruh, the diff housing's cracked. I said, the new one? He said, yeah. He said, the heat fins are broke. He said, and one of your axles are just hanging out of the diff. It's not even in the diff. So I had to order new axles and order another new diff, and I'm currently waiting for it to be repaired properly. Now let me get to the meat and potatoes. All that was appetizers. We finna get to the meat and potatoes of why we're doing this story time. This man had the audacity to be upset that I didn't pay him for fucking up my car. I didn't ask for reimbursement on the towing of it. I didn't ask reimbursement on the diff that we both clearly seen him drop, but we didn't know he had cracked the housing from dropping it hard as fuck. I didn't ask for reimbursement for my axle that was broken in the process of him putting it in. But he's upset that I didn't pay him for fucking up my car. And then dude he brought with him, I don't even know what he talking about, because nigga, you was hired by him. I didn't hire you. Get it in blood through buddy. Anyway, so this story time is what do y'all think about this? How should this be brought about? The end.